So could the future be grim for Ford trucks? Well, unfortunately, Ford's pretty much almost all given up on everything other than trucks and SUVs, and losing their market share of the truck market could be devastating news to Ford. But yet, there's been some news, and clearly some things have been on the upswing. How can I possibly say that Ford trucks are at risk? How can I possibly say they're losing market share when in fact the Ford Lightning, yes, their electric vehicle, this last month has earned more sales than the entire third quarter. Yeah, Q3 had less total sales than we saw just in this last month. As a matter of fact, the Ford Lightning, which is essentially their EV version of their pickup truck F-150, went up 113% in the last month over previous sales. Now it's literally only second in terms of overall EV sales to Tesla. Yeah, Tesla is the leading legendary manufacturer for electric vehicles, and Ford, would you believe it, is right on their heels with their Ford Lightning. Well, Ford also makes the Ford Mustang Mach-E, and the sales have been a little grim on that market, but we need to talk a little bit more about what's going on with the Lightning and what's going on with the half-ton ICE or internal combustion trucks. And in terms of numbers, Ford actually sold over 8,900 units, which is approximately 43.2% year over year, which is quite impressive when you think about it. And the Mustang Mach-E has been selling a lot of numbers as well. Early in the year, Q1, Q2, Ford was also ramping up the flow and the availability of the Mustang Mach-E, trying to push their SUV-style electric vehicle, although it hasn't seen quite the same level of popularity that the F-150 or essentially the Lightning has seen. Now you want some sobering statistics. Here's where it really gets interesting. Internal combustion engines as well as hybrids have an entirely different phenomenon at Ford, and quite frankly, I think it's quite disturbing. And if the trend tells me right, I fear that we could be losing what we have as what we currently know and enjoy about the F-150. Now, it's almost a staple in our lifestyle. Clearly, it's part of the North American way of being. Is having a pickup truck around has always been a popular decision. But unfortunately, Ford and Stellantis and GM are suffering right now because the big three got outright selfish. And unfortunately, a lot of the GMs and CEOs of these big organizations, especially the top three, creating a product that isn't necessarily of the top standard or top quality, but they're escalating their prices. Every time you turn, you bat your lashes and you look, and the Monroney sticker's telling you an extra $2,000 or $5,000. The MSRP of a lot of these vehicles, internal combustion engine vehicles, particularly the F-150, as well as the Rams and the 1500 GM and Chevy vehicles, have gone up. It's almost out of control. It's almost out of it. Really, it's quite unattainable for many people now. I mean, ultimately, a pickup truck is designed for the working person, the middle class, that person that uses it for work, maybe tows a trailer, enjoys their boating on the weekend. They're middle class and they enjoy that. You take that vehicle that was once 50 grand and now you rebadge it with a $90,000 sticker, it soon becomes out of the reach for many, many middle class folks. And that's a sad, sad day, because that ultimately is what really pickup trucks are all about. But here's some numbers. Overall sales were down about 145,000. That's about 0.5%. But internal combustion engine vehicles saw a fall of about 6.5% this last month. In the meantime, Ford's hybrids rose up about 75.2%, clearly indicating that customers aren't necessarily ready for the ICE and the low level of technology, but the high level of dollars that are associated with them. People are starting to get turned off by that and looking for greater options. Of course, as we speak, the Lightning has gone up too, and we'll explain that. And then we have Ford CFO John Lawler, who basically explained that the company's Q3 profits indicated that the company is taking out some Mustang Mach-E production. Clearly, it's not selling what they were hoping it would do. And while many manufacturers are coming to the table redeveloping new products, new vehicles, new electric vehicles, of course, there's an incentive, there's a push from all corners of the globe to continue the enhancement and development of the electric vehicle and its efficiencies. Unfortunately, Ford are saying that we're slowing down several investments, some of which is the Ford Mustang Mach-E, and they're really actually trimming that down, and it gets worse. Well, the Ford Lightning has seen some great wins and has clearly up in sales this last month. Unfortunately, now they're up against some stiff competition, the Tesla Cybertruck, as well as the Chevy Silverado RST EV coming out next year. Can't forget Rivian and some of the other manufacturers that are creating these types of vehicles. Just makes it even more and more difficult for Ford to compete in that space. And while Ford's getting somewhat creative, we know that the Lightning has had some reputation for having an underperforming range, and people have been turned off by that. There's been customers actually said, hey, here's the keys, you can have it back. Not interested. I can't go anywhere with this thing. There is an upgrade, a trim, a flash, if you will, 320 miles of range. So they're really working on that whole range issue that some of these Lightnings are experiencing. So what's really going on? The bottom line is the F-150 ICE, internal combustion trucks, are taking a hit. We know what's going on in the market. Prices are going up, inflation's going up, interest rates are going up, but wages are going down. Sure, people are working, but they can't afford to buy these trucks. Or people are getting more nervous and more skeptical, and we're hitting this crossroads where people are just making a hard decision. Do I rebuild that transmission in my old junk, or do I buy a new truck? And a lot of people are deciding maybe just keep the old vehicle running a little longer, maybe even rent a vehicle. Because clearly to buy a new truck, whether it's Ford, Ram, from the Stellantis team, or as well as GM Chevy, it's just, it's obviously, you have to put your brain in check a little bit, because unfortunately, a lot of those prices have been going through the roof. It's not uncommon here in Canada. I've seen trucks as much as 200 grand. I've seen that blinged out Dodge Ram for as much as $155,000. Shelby F-150s for about $125,000, and even a moderately trimmed out truck, you're still going to pay $90,000. People just can't afford it. We finally hit that tipping point, and people are breaking. Their backs are breaking, their necks are breaking, and their wallets are breaking, and people have had enough. And so the F-150 internal combustion trucks are taking a hit. And unless Ford takes on a lot more aggressive measures, they're going to find themselves on the bottom end of this barrel. Now, we also have to admit that Ford is also scaling back. We know that they've canceled some projects. Some of the projects that they've said that we're going to ramp up and enhance or build these battery development plants here in Canada, they wanted to build these because they were building for the future. And then they realized, well, we don't have the cash flow, and clearly we're not even sure if the market's there to sustain it. So we don't know if we want to build. And so Ford is taking a back seat and slowing the development of these battery plants. Then on top of it, some of the questions about, well, how did all of a sudden the Lightning sell so quickly? Right, sneaky. It's all about incentives. And we know this last little stretch here, all the manufacturers, Ram has too many trucks on the lot, GM has a lot of trucks on the lot, Ford has a lot of trucks on the lot, and Ford now is offering up to $15,000 in price incentives against the brand new Ford Lightnings, just to get people in the door, just to get people to start buying those. So while those numbers, and we're seeing the increase in sales for the Lightning, they're largely skewed by the simple fact that Ford has decided to almost give away some of their products. They're really chiseling off some of the prices and making it a lot more palatable for the consumer. So sadly, all I see is back out some of those incentives, and what you have is a failing EV market for Ford and an internal combustion engine market for the F-150 that is also failing because it's priced too high, they can't notch it back, and customers just don't have the money. That's all it is. They've just been broken and their backs are snapped. So I hope that sheds that light on it for everybody. The whole light truck market is a total mess. It's a sham. And quite frankly, the big three and many other manufacturers are going to have to start figuring this out sooner than later if they hope to even try to survive. So again, everyone, please do drop a line. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think the market's coming to a close for the big truck companies? Do you think Ford, GM, Stellantis, Ram are going to really feel the pain? Or do you think they're going to skate on through and you think the trend is still upwards and onwards? Let's wait and see. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope that helps everyone, and we'll see you all real soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.